Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, the topic I'm going to be talking about is marketing. I've had a lot of people ask us about marketing, and so I'm going to cover some of that today. I haven't talked about it too much in the past, and it is an important topic, and it can be pretty complex, but I want to talk a little bit about what we've done over the years, what's worked, and what hasn't worked so well, and kind of go from there. For those of you all just new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Hit the like. Appreciate it. I need your help. I need to spread the word about what's going on out here, and just trying to get people back on the land and make a living at it. I mean, it's a great way to make a living. I think is to take animals, get you on a piece of property, and maybe it's a leased piece of property. It doesn't have to be something you buy, and then go from there. Anyway, so on our marketing, I wanted to talk a little bit. Start out first of all. I think it's extremely important that when you start out marketing your product, you've got to know what you need to have for that product as far as setting the price. And that's a pretty tough deal. I mean, everybody's price is going to be different. And a lot of it depends on where you're at, what you're trying to sell, your name recognition, how good a job you've done hanging your shingle out there, letting people know who you are, what you're doing, and what your costs are. Your costs, no matter where you're at, is going to be different than my cost, and that's just based on it's a different operation. If somebody owns all the land and has all the equipment, or they think they need all this equipment, and have went in and you might say have a very high overhead, they're going to need more for their product to show a profit or even break even than what we are. We're based mainly on leased land and minimal overhead. We're not out here every day, 150 horse tractors and mowers and rakes and balers and tedders and hay wagons where you're chopping up the hay for the cows, and you just name it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that you can buy that people think they need to be in the livestock business, and you just don't need it. And so I'm kind of, when people say, "Oh, Greg, you're kind of tight." Well, let me tell you what, when you're starting out, it does help to be tight. If you go start throwing money around in this business starting out, you may never make it to marketing. You may not have anything to market because you're never going to get there. I went by a farm today. It was sold out from the guy, probably 20 years ago. The first thing he put on that farm? One of the fanciest cattle guards you've ever seen. I mean, it is a Taj Mahal of cattle guards, okay? It's got steel bars on it, big around as my leg, I swear to gosh. And a bunch of them. And big old concrete foundation. And you know how many cattle he got stocked on that farm? 0. He went broke. He didn't even get all the fence up. He put all this metal in, all these stupid concrete foundations with cattle guards on, so he didn't have to get out of the pickup truck to open a gate. Folks, that's the kind of thinking that'll ruin you. So, that's high overhead, and we're not that way. So find out what your cost of gain is. Take your inputs, whatever those are, okay, and see what it's costing you to run those animals. And don't just break even. You've got to set a good profit there. And I don't think, people say we should feel good about making, $50 a calf. Are you kidding me? $50 a calf a year? That was in a big national beef magazine the other day. You're making $50. Well, folks, if you've got to have, $50,000 a year, let's just keep the math good. Let's just say you need $100,000 a year to live on. How many calves you got to run? $50 a head. Do the math on that one and scare the heck out of you. That's a lot of cows. It's also a lot of calves. That's a lot of land you got to control. So We're not talking about that kind of thing. And I guess what I'm saying is if you're basing your marketing on the sale barn, and there's nothing wrong with sale barns. I mean, we use them to sell cull animals to and stuff like that. But it shouldn't be your main income source selling your animals to. In other words, don't depend on the sale barns to make you a living. They're making a living. They get a cut on every single animal they sell there. No matter what the animal is, they get a percentage of that. Okay? And it's not their job to make sure your animal sells for enough money to keep you on the farm and make you a good living. That's your job. Okay? You've got to get out here and do some work. And farmers, as a rule of thumb, and I'll put myself in that class starting out, I was real good at producing stuff, but I wasn't worth a flip at marketing it. You know, at the end of the year, I'd put it in the stock trailer. I'd hire somebody to come and get them. I didn't have a stock trailer. And bring them to the sale barn, and then I'd cry all the way home. My little measly check that barely covered my inputs. And I remember going to the banker at the end of the year, making my second land payment. I'd make 2 land payments a year in those days. And he's like, Greg, we did all right. We did all right. You know, let's do this again next year. I'm like, well, you did all right. You know, I made my interest payment. Didn't have anything left to put on principal, but you know, it's getting pretty old, me working all year long, and you're getting your money, but I ain't getting anything. So I think you need to be making some money as the guy that's doing all the work. So, and I'm sure you all have heard this, but it goes into marketing. I'm going to tell you straight up. It's better to do nothing and make nothing than to do something and make nothing. Did you follow that? So if you're going to do something, by God, make some money at it. Or don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay? So this is a great business to be in, but I'm telling you, there's a really good living to be at, but you've got to learn to do the marketing. Okay? Well, how are you going to get a better price than what your neighbor is? First of all, if you're both raising them exactly the same way, you know, you're feeding those animals, let's just say the conventional. I mean, I've got people all around me, they feed their animals grain every day. They're pouring 5-gallon buckets of feed out there in the mud right now in their troughs, and the animals are laying in a pretty mean looking place where, you know, it's been raining every day for the last month, and it's a mean way to keep animals, but we're moving our animals. So our animals are moving. We got a different story. And it's all about telling a story from your heart. You need customers that care about the way you raise your animals. Okay? You say, well, that sounds kind of corny, Greg. We're in the beef cattle business. We're in the sheep business, you know. Yeah, but you're also in the animal welfare business. There's people watching you and your story. And people want to be part of a success story where animals are treated correctly. They have a great life. They're healing the land, healing the water cycle. You know, you're not pouring all this stuff on them, all these chemicals. We're not throwing, you know, GMO feed at them, whatever. Get a niche and be good at it. Get a niche and be good at it. Whatever that niche is, whether it's red cattle, purple cattle, white cattle, black cattle, polka dotted cattle, I don't care. But make sure it's a cow or a sheep that can perform in your environment without any inputs other than mineral and salt. Because if you've got an animal that you're babying, there's going to be a lot of money put into that animal, and that's going to take a huge price at the end of the year that you've got to have for that animal for you to even break even or make anything. So when we talk about marketing, we're talking about keeping your costs low so that you don't have to charge this extravagant price for your meat to make a good living on your land. Okay? And that's a whole bunch of it right there. But I think if you can get the recognition out there that you're raising high quality, safe, localized, tender, succulent, happy animals on your farm. You know, we've converted vegetarians. We had a farm tour here one day. I didn't realize what had happened, but there was a vegetarian in that group. And she was sick. She was not healthy. And you could just tell her she wasn't healthy. And about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months later, she sent me an email and said, Greg, I just want to let you know you saved my life. I'm like, what are you talking about? And what it was, when we went out on the farm tour, she saw that animal. There was a heifer came up to her, and that heifer reached up and licked her on the hand, standing in beautiful green grass. And when she did, she had a daisy sticking out of the corner of her mouth. And that lady at that moment realized that there are animals that are raised the correct way. She said, Greg, I realized at that moment I needed to eat that animal to save my life. And that's what she did. And today she's a fit of health. I mean, you can't find a more healthier lady than that lady is. But she's eating grass-finished meat. And, you know, the soy burgers weren't doing it for her. She had to have meat. You know, that's what we've eaten for thousands of years before soy burgers were ever invented. So, you know, I think customers need to know your story about what you're raising. A website. How many of y'all have websites? You know, get your website out there. Start a blog. You know, maybe every week. I know you're busy, but you've got to do it. Stay away from magazines. We tried that. We advertised, spent a lot of money in some major magazines about our grass-fed beef. We didn't make hardly any sales at all, and it's expensive. You know, to run one good colored ad in a major magazine, you're looking at $500 to maybe $1,000. That's not the way to do it. The internet. Get on the internet, get you a website, something that you can put pictures, something that you can handle yourself. Don't get it real complicated, but put lots of good farm pictures on there with short sentences, maybe a paragraph or two, what the picture is about, what you're doing. Have your family involved. If you got kids, by all means, have the kids in there. You know, this is a family deal. That's the thing I like about the pasture-raised business is, you know, you don't have a lot of moving parts out there. It's very friendly for families, young kids. You don't have, you know, you hear the horror stories of people in row cropping and even balers and mowers, that drive shaft back there turning, catching young kids' coats and whipping them up on the PTO. And, oh, it's just awful. You know, people getting hurt. Well, when you're dealing with animals in an ATV at the max, you're out on the pasture, there's none of that going on. So it's a very safe environment. And I think something just happened here. But my gimbal went to sleep on me. But you know what? I'm still taping. I think I'm going to kind of end right there because I'm getting tired of holding this thing. I don't know what happened to it. It went to sleep. But folks, I tell you what, there's a great business out here. And you do have to do your own marketing. If you're not good at marketing, hire somebody that is, and give them a percentage of your profits. But you can't take it to the sale barn and make a good living. And I'm going to make an extension of this because this is getting old. Holding this, and I know I'm moving it around, but I'm going to find out what happened to my gimbal. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, and everyone, this is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm, and everyone have a great day.